Birthday, how birthday, Yasharahla, birthday, how birthday, Yasharahla, birthday, how birthday, Yasharahla. Kolayimla, Adonai Yahweh, Hashem, Shamalak, Yasharahla, Persian Kakadash, the bonus to the apostle and elders, millstone, peace, citation, hopeful, lack, shalom. And, I'll come up with a title of this video, later on in the video, or maybe at the end of this video, but as you can see in this article, it mentions about, a case that happened like a few years ago, and some change, and this case is pretty much revolving regarding a a murder to plot, a murder for hire case. And basically it says in the title, man fakes own death to prove wife hired a hitman to kill him. And there's still articles about this going on. Mentioned this in January 1st, 2023. But this case happened, they said pretty much back in 2015. It says a man was able to reveal how his wife had hired a hitman to kill him by faking his own execution. Well, it's something that sounds like it's coming straight out of a dramatic thriller movie. This is exactly what happened to Raymond Sosa back in 2015 when he and his wife, Maria Lulu Sosa, were going through a divorce. Raymond from Houston, Texas, first met Lulu back in 2007, and the pair married shortly after going on to open a gym and boxing ring together, Woodlands Boxing and Fitness. Lulu from Mexico became an American citizen after 3 years of being married to Raymond, which is when he started to believe she didn't need me anymore. In quote, it was going downhill quick. The boxing coach says advice. There was no option but to go get a divorce. Raymond Sosa first met his wife Lulu Sosa in 2007. It says during the period, unbeknown to Raymond, Lulu went to the shocking lengths to contact a man named Gustavo to see if he could organize a hit on her husband. But little did she know that Gustavo was friends with Raymond. Being the good friends he is, Gustavo immediately went to Raymond with this shocking information. Speaking to the son of the moment he found out what his wife had done, Raymond said, in quote, after the reality is set in, I became angry, sad and confused, a whole mix of emotions, each fighting the other to be the dominant feeling, end quote. And then it hit me that I still had to live under the same roof with the person planning to have me murdered, end quote. Yes, I slept with the enemy and with one eye open, all while trying to act as normal as possible so Lulu would continue with her plan. Keep in mind that was the only way we could catch her in the act. Raymond and Gustavo soon joined forces, and Gustavo wore a microphone during his next meeting with Lulu, taping their entire conversation before handing the evidence to Houston police. The man Lulu had approached to organize the hit thankfully went to Raymond with the shocking information. Fortunately, the tape alone wasn't enough to hold against Lulu, so the police suggested Raymond fake his own death and photograph it. With the support of the FBI, Texas Rangers painted bloody makeup on Raymond's head so it looked as though he had been shot through the temple. Speaking of the staged photograph, Raymond, quote, it was chilling, utterly and indescribably chilling. That picture to this day reflects one of the most difficult things I have ever done in my life. And quote, the thought of me lying in a shallow grave in my underwear with a bullet hole through my temple is mind-boggling. And quote, all of this drama to prove Lulu, my beloved, that I was dead. One would never be able to wrap their mind around that kind of madness. An undercover police officer posing as the hitman later met Lulu in a car park where he showed her the pictures of her supposedly dead husband. Police then arrested Lulu, and she pleaded guilty to solicitation of murder at the district in Conroe, Texas. She was sentenced to 20 years behind bars in October 2016. It has been almost 8 years since the harrowing incident, and Raymond has gone on to release a book to tell his story. I walked on my own grave. And quote, my hope is that my book helps every man and woman that may find themselves in an abusive relationship to find the courage to speak up and seek help, he said. Unquote, whether it is physical, mental, or emotional abuse, please get help immediately. Alright, pretty much with that, I'll bring out some scriptures a little bit and you hopeful that will be edified. And before I go into the scriptures, I want to bring out this part. Remember, because sometimes different articles mention different things, but he said this in this article, in quote, I wasn't dating anyone at the time. Said Sosa, whose first marriage ended in 2000, but she immediately caught my eye. The way she carried herself, I couldn't stop staring. She just captivated me. Not only was she very beautiful, but she could dance too. She then walked in front of me, and all of a sudden, she stepped on my toe. And she's wearing these 6-inch heels. I bent down, and she was so apologetic. All I could say was, "Would you dance with me?" And we danced the night away. The mystery woman was Maria de Lourdes Dorantes, also known as Lulu. The buxom brunette, originally from Mexico, entered the U.S. on a visitor visa with her son and daughter. She was eager to start a new life in Houston, and she happily doted on the father of 3. The romance was swift, and Sosa found himself on bended knee once more. This time to propose. She became Lulu Sosa in 2009. The couple opened a gym together in 2010. Yeah, but it said within the 3rd year of the marriage, Sosa started seeing the cracks. And then, pretty much if y'all, let me see. You could just kind of read the rest for yourselves and stuff, you know. But the article goes as follows, saying how, showing like the documentary behind it as well. I'll bring out the scriptures now. In Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 26 says, "And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her." He lucky that he didn't really get his life taken by her. Yeah, I'll say that for a fact. Cause I'm telling you, man, he was that was the most high reserving that man's life. Cause this man, for being a boxer, and so he pretty much was like a millionaire. When you look at his net worth, it's $4 million. But with that being said, she seen opportunities with that guy, and she was like already 40, and he was already like lusting with her, thinking that she looks really good, and usually being at the age of 40, you're really not in the at the top of your beauty. You usually are at the peak of your beauty in your in your 20s or so, or at least your late teens. That's when it starts. When you actually like look hella beautiful and stuff. But everybody obviously, they get it differently. But that's usually the prime for a female, is either late teens or in her 20s. But so she probably looked way better back then, I would assume. But the fact that this man was pretty much getting a woman that was already, let's say, divorced. She already had 2 kids, and then he wanted to marry her. Usually, a lot of times, like women like that, they usually have a lot of issues, mentally, and a lot of times when you're in a foreign country, you wouldn't really necessarily like, because they're not really as Americanized as women in America, but at the same time, America and Mexico are not too far away. It's like right there. So, Mexico's like on the bottom of North America, so, it's not really that far. And when she got over to America with the help of, you know, her husband, Raymond Sosa, he gave her those opportunities, and it seemed like that was too good for her. And they started living in Texas, and they opened that, boxing gym. And eventually, seeing that how he has money, and that, he also had insurance, and pretty much like when your spouse dies and you have like some sort of like life insurance, they give you a certain amount of money for your spouse dying, then you get like a decent amount of that money. And since he's like a millionaire, she wanted to have all of that money. This woman even went as far, when I saw like the short YouTube video about, it was like 10 minutes going into how she tried to like pay the who she thought was a hitman. She tried to pay to set up for murder for hire. And when you do those type of things, they would assume that if it was a real hitman, that you would do it. Because the fact that you went out your way to try to like plan this, and then you paid that person a certain amount of money that they requested. So she even used the jewelry, watches that he had to try to pay that money to the let's say to the bogus hitman. And that really shows you that like how wicked these women are. This is a Mexican woman. Is a correct woman. How much more a Judite woman or Benjamin or Levite? This woman was from another kingdom. And oppression is usually the least on another kingdom. A lot of the times, when you see with the nation of our people are very wicked. And, it really shows you that a lot of times, like, having a woman that already has kids, and, even, like, that could be potentially problems that you have to deal with, and the fact that, when she came over to America, she started basically becoming a little bit more corrupt. And that's the, mentality of people once, or let's just say women, when they become Americanized, they end up starting to pretty much like be a certain way. And, things don't eventually turn out to be the way you expected it to be as a man. Yep. Because of the feminism that these women start getting introduced to, and they become corrupt with that. I'll bring on more precepts. Ecclesiastes 25, verse 19. It says, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Exactly. So, let's say if that hitman was real, that would have been a small sin compared to how wicked this woman is. Can you believe that? Because, this woman got the nerve to even try to use this man's money and his jewelry to try to, pay for the hitman, And this was obviously a bogus hitman because it was like a setup, what you would call like a sting operation. Or, something to that effect. Like it was like a setup. But the fact of the matter is that how, you gotta really be careful, and you have to really be on guard with the type of woman that you approach. Because even then, it's like when they realize that you have a decent amount of wealth, and the mindset that a lot of these women have is never settle for less and always settle for more. And then it's like, once they get with a man that have a certain amount of money, they're not willing to keep that man in their life. Sometimes they're willing to try to find any way to get that man killed so that they could be free and have his money. That's exactly what they want to do. And seeing that really just shows you that how these women are just sick and twisted minded. Another scripture I want to bring out in this chapter, it says, "Stumble not at the beauty of a woman and desire her not for pleasure." So it shows you right there that how you got to use wisdom when it's coming to dealing with these women, because some of them are just really set to take your life. And even women that are in foreign countries as well, sometimes they could be potentially setups, but you're more likely to find that in America. But it goes to show you that these women are really just not in their right state of mind, and it really pays to have that wisdom. And in Proverbs the 6th chapter it says, verse 25, "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids." So it's showing you right there that you shouldn't lust after the beauty of women. Also, it's mostly talking about like the strange woman, which is false philosophies, but it's also talking about evil women in general too. So it's twofold. And verse 26 says, "For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and adulterers will hunt for the precious life." This shows you how, these women just most want your money, and a lot of men go broke trying to go out their way pleasing, ungrateful, greedy women. And these are the women that they please, that never settle for less, that always settles for more. And it says Ecclesiasticus 9 verse 2. Oh boy. And this says it all right here. It says, "Give not thy soul unto a woman to set her foot upon thy substance." Verse 3, "Meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares." And that's exactly what he did. And he married her too. And he was quick to do all that. He is lucky he, pretty much like had a chance to save his life. And it says, let me see, verse 6, "Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance." Exactly. Because you don't want to ever have to pretty much go as far as submitting to these women to the point where you start giving them your resources and giving them your substances, because that's the test that they do. They use their beauty and their charms to try to take whatever you have, and if you don't use wisdom, they're not going to give you what you want, because they already know, like, once you want to be, like, let's say friends, to deal with them and chill with them, they know what you want in the end. They know what every man wants subconsciously when a man has a close relationship with them as friends. Pretty much like women are not really dumb. They know what men really want. But it's just that, like, they play around a lot and they do certain things to pretty much to play games and stuff. because this is what America teaches them to do. So, I know that taught him a valuable lesson about a certain woman that he should choose. And since he has money, it's best that he goes, um, you know, I'll say maybe in the Eastern Hemisphere, those countries in the East, and try to find a woman over there to bring to America. But, all you can hope is that a woman that, that you get out there don't become Americanized and corrupt with the American philosophies. But with that, I just cut the lesson right there. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shamalak Yahushua, Bashem Kadash, the Manas Apostle, that was great millstone, peace, citation, for that, Shalom, Yahweh Shai, Barakashah, Shalak Rayam, Anawanyam, Wako Yam, Baba Shalom.